Ciao, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks to the Coach Finder Online that gave me this great opportunity. I was thinking of how to start this video on the topic of dreams and the power of decision. This topic touches so many layers, from defining your boundaries to deciding, what you really want, yes, no, decision, that I decided to start with a personal example of how I made the decision to realize what I thought at that time was impossible. I was living in San Francisco in the 90s and parts of the 2000s, and I was working as a craniosacral therapist, and I was working with a massage table, and I had many friends that were working in the internet industries, and that was very inspiring for me to dream about working online, because I loved the fact that I could reach so many people working online, and also because I didn't need a space, a studio, but I could be anywhere in the world and work. But I was a therapist and I needed a massage table. How could I work online? I would have been able to work online. I couldn't really see that. But I knew that that was really something that I loved, and it was a dream. So 2 years later, I went to an international gathering at the Pledger Institute for my continuing education, and I was offered a free course for therapists by Mary Morrissey. Oh, I love the 3 webinars I did with her. She was using the same principle that I was using in my emotional release work, but she was using the same ones in coaching. I literally fall in love with that, with her program, and decided I was going to become a coach. But what did I think when dreaming about working online from the computer, and I still was, a therapist with her massage table? I stated that dream. I just said, yes, this is what I want, when I understood that I wanted to go and work online. Because being a therapist wasn't really what I wanted to do for my whole life. I knew my mission was raising the consciousness of people, that my love for transformation, for integrity, to be connected to the soul was important, but I wanted to use this principle, to use my mission through, and work through internet and find a different way than just a therapy, touching therapy on the table. My work at that time was I knew that my work at that time was just a gateway to something different. I felt it. I always knew this. So I did stay with my work, knowing that even if I didn't know how I was going to find the new direction I wanted of working, online, on the internet, I knew that I would go that direction. But why am I telling you this story? Because it is about making a decision. I had a vision of where I wanted to be, and it was strong, and I didn't have any doubts. That is what I loved. And so I stick with it. I stay with my love. I mean, every time I was thinking about this idea, I just loved it. And in the meanwhile, I was just keep going, in my life with what I was doing. I knew what I wanted to feel and do. I knew that I wanted to work online, happy to be able to reach people, happy to go back to Italy and work all over the world without the need of a physical place or a studio. And this was giving me such an enthusiasm. The dream was so clear. And was a dream because I couldn't really see how I could go from the massage table to the internet. It was a decision I made inside myself as an act of faith. So now I want to help you to understand, to get close to make a decision, maybe even a little decision today. I would like you to make one, by the end of this video. I would like you to come up with something that you like. And if you don't have a clear dream in your mind, think of something in your life that doesn't work right now and that makes you very unhappy. And once you identify this, please write it down and then replace whatever you've written down with something that you would really love instead. And write that too. Because what you want to do, you want to focus on what you love and not on what you don't like. And usually the mind keeps going and obsessed on problems instead of, using the problem to understand what you want. So we start from what I'm doing now. I'm asking you to start from your discontent to get to your longing. This is a great way to identify what you want when you feel demotivated or a little depressed. I want you to think about something that makes you so happy when you think about it. And, it makes you so happy that you don't even think about the circumstances out there. Something so far that it's almost impossible for you to see it happening from where you are now. And that's a dream. Dream seems always impossible for the rational mind that looks for the circumstances as a reference point. You don't want to give any strength to circumstances right now. Think the impossible. Think of something that gives you energy. Even if it's not clear how is that is going to happen. Doesn't really matter. Just go there. Just dream. I didn't get attached at that time to the desire. I just loved it and stayed with the love. And I knew that by staying where I was and working at my best, I was keeping the space available, and I was open for miracles to happen. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to keep space around you available, inside of you available, and be open to miracles to happen. This space is open within you now. And as soon as you take a decision, it's like even the decision of opening this space inside of you. This is a decision. Open this space. Make the decision to keep this space open. Enjoy the fact that you don't know the answer. Enjoy the magic of this, this space full of opportunities where the universe can reorganize the cells of your life. Right now, I really would like you not to focus on changing the facts of your life as it is, but just stay there. We're not even thinking about it. Think about your dreams and create the energy of your dream, of your vision, of your wish inside of yourself. You want to do this because the universe reads your thoughts and energy as your intention, and it will give it back to you. So be careful not to erase your good intention with doubts and old programming full of fears, because that will draw you back into the old life. Dream and stay certain it will happen. I love for you to just stay even 3 minutes on this. If you give space to your old programming, they will lower your energy again, and the universe will read those as your intention, reproducing scarcity and limitation, and you don't want this. Say just a big yes to your vision. To say that yes in itself is a decision. When you do this, notice when you say the yes, notice if doubts or fears arise in you and write them down immediately. Those are your programs. This is your ego telling you that it's impossible. And now that you have written them down, you can transform them into, new sentences, and you can reprogram yourself. Think about, the beautiful dream you have in mind, and let go of all of these doubts and fears and limitation in the certainty that good things will be given to you. And that's the space I was talking about. It's so important. Put yourself in a receiving mood. Stay with faith in the present, using it as a way to learn and to grow. Making a decision means to think clearly. Means to think clearly about something, and is a statement of what you stand for. And that's what we are doing now. Use your present life as an exercise to get to the next level. Use the present life to make decisions. If you use well what you have now and learn from your present experience what you do not want or need, you will also be able to understand what you need and start doing something about it. That means to go in that direction, in the direction of what you need or what you would like. I always hated when people told me I was in the right place where I was. especially when I felt miserable. And that's where a lot of people would say, oh, you are just in the right place. Oh, thank you. I didn't like that. I thought it didn't really help me to, and didn't give me any support to hear that statement. Why would I love my life when I felt so miserable anyway? I knew I needed a transformation, and the desire was so strong that I started looking for the right questions to ask. Because when you find yourself in difficult situation, you can start by asking yourself some questions, and those questions can be very helpful for you to get to a different frequency. Maybe you can ask yourself, what do I need to transform? Why am I so miserable? What is that makes me so uncomfortable? Try to really understand what makes you uncomfortable, so that then you can ask yourself, what would make me comfortable instead of this? Another great question when I find myself in difficult situation is, what part of me created all of this? And then again, what do I want to replace my discontent? What do I want to replace my discontent with? What would I love instead of this? So what you need here is to charge your loves and not your problems and fears by sabotaging yourself. And in this way, you just reproduce if you do this, if you sabotage yourself and if you charge your problems, you will just reproduce the very same situation you want to change. That you want to really make a real decision to think differently about your past, your future, and to a real decision to change, to shift into your vision, into something that you really like, new perspective. And once you know your desires, you can start visioning these dreams and make new decisions. Make a decision is to give strength to your desires instead that giving strength to your discontents. I'm talking about positive decision. You can even decide to give strength to your discontents, but that's not what we are talking about here. So we are here because the reason why we are here in this present is that and we have maybe some problems, is because those problems have to teach something. We have to learn something from our present circumstances, and this is a much better way to face difficulties or things that we don't like and we don't want anymore. So after these premises, I want to go back to the power of decision and get going with this. So once we know where we are going, and it's clear to our heart what we want to feel, let's load our dream with our emotions, so to rise our frequency to that level and give power to our potential. If we dream and we don't put our emotion and passion in the dream, then we don't change our frequency and we keep staying where we are. So let's go where we feel great. When you know the direction and the feelings you want to feel, and you decide with all of your being to go there, you can start saying no to anything that is not like the thing you want. And you can say yes to what you want. You know exactly where you stand, and you know exactly what you want to choose. To be able to say yes and no is one of the most important things in life, because it defines your direction. This is so important. Put yourself in the energy of your dream, and whatever is not that energy, say no to it. And at the time when I was a therapist, I was offered other work options, but I knew that they were not what I wanted, because they didn't give me the same energy of my dream or the same feeling I wanted. So I just say no to those things. They weren't what I wanted, even if they were good things, they were good offer. I knew where to go, even if I didn't know how it was going to happen. So when I took the course with Mary, I knew that was what I wanted. And I made a decision to become certified. I knew that was the yes I needed. That was yes for me. And at that time, I didn't even have all of this money. I decided anyway that I wanted to do that. and miracles happened, because once I made that decision, the universe really turned and the money came in. It took maybe at that time a week. So first a firm decision, then the how will manifest itself. And I'm sure about what I'm saying because my life is an example of that. Anyway, I wouldn't be coaching people if I didn't apply the same principle in my life. I found the money in the most unsuspectable way, and I got enrolled in the coaching certification. And after 1 year of being a coach, I realized I was in the dream I had years before, and I didn't even consciously see that at first. It was like craniosacral work or holistic work, when you feel so much better that you don't even remember where you come from. You don't remember the pain you felt before. So there I was, working online in the dream I had. So I want to stress the principle that once you make a decision, then it's done. Go for everything that is like that decision. And another thing about when we make decisions, they are often based on the story that we tell ourselves. The good news is that we can change those stories. That means our past, because we often make decisions, thinking about our stories and what we did in the past, what worked and what not worked. We don't want to do this here. And one way to change, the past is to go back to your past, and that's the work I do, and look at it from a different perspective, and shift your perception of the understanding of your past, so to release the emotions that are attached to this past and free yourself, and really free yourself of these, notes, as I say, these bundles. Our emotion and thoughts control every decision we make. So we are the sum of our thoughts. And so if we're still attached to some thoughts and emotion from our past, we will bring them in our future. But the biggest obstacle we can encounter when we have to make an important decision is the circumstances we are living, in the present, in the circumstances in which we live in. So we give so much importance to circumstances that we let the circumstances decide for us instead of us deciding to go for our dream. But just the fact that you make a decision, and that to do something or to dream or to have a vision is a winning attitude in itself. I want you to look at that as already winning. It is never a failure. The real failure is not to decide anything. That's really failure. To stop deciding means to stay where you are and there is no more movement to it. Not having a vision or dream is like living in a cage where you live in a limited and hopeless way, repeating over and over the same patterns and thoughts, and life goes on in the same direction. So please take the first step by predicting a prosperous future, by abundant future, full of things and feelings that you like. Build a mental image of what you would like to live and experience. And if you make this decision, if you take the firm decision to trust the vision you love and believe in the possibility of new ways to improve your life, new ideas, new thoughts, you will start really flowing with life, and you will get so many opening and ideas, and you will breathe. Your breath will become so much larger. But the reason why people lose hope is because they do not know what they want, or they get stuck in the how, or they get stuck because of the circumstances, and they get stuck because they don't know how to say yes or to say no. But when you have a vision and you nourish this image within you and decide not to worry about how that will happen, then something will soften inside you, and it's almost like you will be more open to let things happen to you. Charge your decision with enthusiasm and refuse to worry about how it will happen. Sometimes, anyway, sometimes it's not very easy to understand when to say yes and when to say no. And I want to give you some little help here. And way to understand, what you really want is, we were saying before, is by recognizing your longings and your discontents. And another way is to be conscious of your most important values. Because once you have taken a decision on a dream and you know your values, you can use them as a stepping stones to indicate you what to choose. I found a description of values on a Barrett, Barrett Center, where he says, the decisions we make are a reflection of our values and beliefs, and they are always directed toward a specific purpose. That purpose is the satisfaction of our individual needs. When we use our values to make decisions, we make a deliberate choice to focus on what is important to us. I think that is very enlightening. So, if you betray some of your values once you know what they are, thinking that you can get faster, maybe you can get faster to your dream by taking something that maybe is not really right for you and is not in alignment with your values, then you will pay a harsh price later. So what I would say, respect your values always and never betray them. Another example I can give you is when you meet someone that you sense, you get close to someone that you sense as a behavior that doesn't really align with your values, but as other qualities that you like. So you underestimate your first perception of not being completely in alignment with that person's values. And a few months later, here you are dealing with what you already knew, with that kind of problem with the person. So I'm not saying not to relate to that person, but to keep in mind what you intuitively knew. Knowing your values and honoring them, that's what this means. And it's very important to keep your boundaries very, very clear. And the way to do this is by knowing your values. So boundaries and values are very interrelated. Because when you know where you stand, when you know where your values are, when you know what your dream is, then you know where your boundaries are. And not having clear boundaries means that you can get confused on what to do or not to do. And so I would like to ask you if you know what your 3 or 5 core values are. Do you know what they are? And if you don't, you really want to know, because your values are the things that you believe are important in the way you live and work and choose, for your life. They do determine your priorities, and deep down, they are the measure you use to tell if your life is turning out the way you want to. So when the things that you do and the way you behave match your values, life is usually good. You feel satisfied, you feel content. But when these don't align with your personal values, that's when things feel wrong. And this can be a real source of unhappiness. And that is why making a conscious effort to identify your values is so important. So let's take some time now to understand your priorities. In this way, you'll be able to determine the best direction for you and your dreams or vision. And even though values are usually fairly stable, they don't have strict limits or boundaries. As you move through life, they may change. So you may have to revalue, to look at them again. Because as your life evolves, so do your personal values. And this is why keeping in touch with them is a lifelong exercise. And revisit your values, especially if you start to feel unbalanced and you can't quite figure out why you feel that way. So now I want to help you identify your values with this very easy exercise. And before we start, I want you to be aware that values can be positive or fear-based, limiting. For example, honesty, trust, accountability are positive values, whereas blame, revenge, manipulation are potentially limiting or fear-based. So in this exercise, ponder on the positive values, values that are very dear to you and make you feel elevated. I will ask you to take a pen and a piece of paper and, to be comfortable. Take a deep breath. And now pay attention to the first word that comes to mind when I ask this question. What is my deepest, innermost value? I'm talking about your deeply held principles, ideal, belief. What is your deepest, innermost value? Write it down. Do it right now. And now I'm going to ask you the same question again, but this time you will have to come up with the second word that is different from the first. So let's begin again. Take a deep breath. And I'll ask you the same question. What is your second deepest, innermost value? And then write the word down. Breathe again, and I'll ask you the same question for the last time. What is your deepest, innermost value? Of course, it has to be different than the other two. And then write it down. Now make the firm decision to respect those values. So, because if you do not decide for your dream and you're not in alignment with it by honoring your values, you will not have the power to bring your dream about. So let's say that you have happiness and joy as your value. And so when you are about to make a decision, you can ask yourself, does this decision I have to take makes me feel happy or joyous? And so if he says yes, okay, you can go and you can say yes to that decision. But if you feel that that decision doesn't make you feel happy or joyous, say no, okay? It's going to take all of your power, all of your forces, and your access to the infinite to bring about something that's behind your current state. So you want to be very careful when you make a decision. And ask yourself, does my dream aligns with my core values? And you have seen that your three core values right now. Are you ready to stand firm on the decision to honor these core values? Ask yourself if you are ready, to really honor those values. And with this, I want to conclude, this video, and I really hope that, I have inspired you to be more open and imagine a different future and go for that and make a decision for that. I really hope you will make a decision to today, now, to better your life, and, and you got some more insights of how you do that. And before I go, I want you to know that if you need any help to understand better the direction you'd love to go and what to decide for, I would be more than happy to help you and to offer you a strategy session. So please don't hesitate to contact me, and because I really enjoy supporting courageous people.